April 2nd, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. The only economic data that came out was around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. It was the unemployment claims. And then other than that, there was no other economic data that came out, and then it was just regular news as usual. Overall, the prices look like it in the pre-market is sold off pretty heavily. I think this is attributed to, and I can't really say for sure, this is, I think, Trump's address to the nation about what we're going to do in the Middle East. And then it looked like the market didn't like that, moved down, bounced, and then went down a second time, bottomed out. Looks like those two legs up, then another big leg up, followed by a second leg up. So it's like a sharp leg, break, and then another sharp leg up. Then it looked like it was just two big areas of consolidation. This area, which had a lot of little swinging choppy legs here, and then the second area here. I took a total of one trade and was profitable. And then I really only identified one other possible trade for me, but I didn't take it. And then all the other ones were just kind of almost trades. Today was kind of, you had to be a little more careful because a lot of the setups were a little ambiguous to me. So I ended up skipping them and didn't really mark it, but I'll try to go through them when I get there. So So the pre-market, it drops pretty much 130 points from up here. You can see it's about 66.32 down to 65.03. That's pretty much 130 point big drop down. Pushes, bottoms out. Looks like it's two legs up here. Push up, break, test the high, but it looks like it's just one big leg, two small legs, and another big leg up. On the open, it creates a localized high, just a first entry, but this is just kind of big localized area. So the count does reset. It looks like it's a first entry long, pullback, maybe a second entry long here. Now I did think I had initially had this channel drawn. And then if you extend it out, you could argue maybe there's a support area here. It looks like it's two legs down, maybe a bounce here, but I didn't really trust it, looking for a higher low. The higher low does show up here, but by the time this higher low finishes, it was getting close to the EMA, which I wasn't sure was going to be, I wasn't sure it was going to act as a resistance. And then maybe there's a shallow channel here, but I'm not the biggest fan of the shallow channel because it really only has two touches right now. So there doesn't have a third touch confirmation. It looks wider than it needs to be. So I wasn't really sure this channel was very valid. Even though there's a failed breakout here, it could be moving back in, but it was just a competing factors that gave me ideas that it could either go long or short. So it's really ambiguous exactly what was going to happen here, even though you got a higher low right here. And as you can see, if you did try to take this trade, even though it might be running up against the high of this resistance, you could get a point or maybe a couple points and then it flushes back down. But it felt a little risky at the time, so I definitely didn't want to take that. It's a visual first entry short, pullback, second entry short failure, but there's nothing here setting up for me to get ready for that trade. Pushes up, looks like the spike and a shallow channel up. No clean second entries here. There we go. Pushes down on this orange down channel. Looks like it was a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, but it actually looks like it's just one leg, which I've drawn here as orange. Looks like it's a visual first entry, pullback, second entry, visual second entry long. Unfortunately, it closes below the EMA, so it leaves me a little cautious. And I'm looking for a higher low, and you don't really get a higher low till about right here. But by the time this higher low forms, it doesn't bounce off the EMA. This support line doesn't get established until this candle prints. So it does leave me a little bit wondering, is this break of the green up channel really going to test the high? I'm not 100% sure, so I had to wait. Usually a second entry long here is a terrible signal bar, so I skipped it. It does look like two nice clean legs. If this had just formed a little bit better, like a green bar with the closed high, then I think it would have been a possible trade for me. Pushes up, hits a localized high, count kind of resets. Visual first entry long, but that's all you get because it makes another new high. At this point, I do establish this as a potential support area, but even though it's a support area, I wasn't sure where the resistance is because if I drew it at the highs and treated this as the potential range of a failed breakout, coming back down, it's pushing back up, maybe it's going to break through, which it does, and it comes back down. When it comes down and creates this candle. I do draw this as a trend line, and I really didn't know where the top of the channel was because if it's here, it kind of skips these two. If I drew it a little bit lower, treated this as an overshoot, it still doesn't touch. Drawing it again a little bit lower, it kind of confirms a little bit better and doesn't have a touch here, but still left it a little bit unsure of where the resistance was. So definitely left it alone. Localized highs, the first entry long pullback, second entry long is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, although it's engulfing. Plus, it does have enough room for a 1, maybe 2 point scalp, but I just didn't feel like it felt a little ambiguous to me because it's far from the EMA. It feels like steam could be running out for the buyers, even though it has locally been rallying up. But you have to keep in mind it had this really strong sell-off here. And so we're just kind of in this zone. So we're about at the halfway point of where I thought the big pre-market low and high range was going to be. So just kind of out in the middle. It leaves me a little extra unsure because I'm not sure, because even here, it just feels congested. It's not giving really clear direction because this, as I said, this yellow up channel isn't fitting the best. It does match the bottom pretty well, but it just no trade here. Creates a localized high, first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long. It is 2 legs. You do create a double bottom here, and this candle actually does break above this guy. The problem I have was, although you're presented with a first entry long pullback, second entry long looks like maybe 2 legs here. I'm not the biggest fan of this because there's a breakout here, and you're thinking prices could move back in. But this close below the EMA, like if this setup had the EMA right down here and it kissed the EMA and reversed back, that would be a much cleaner, easier for me to take setup. But this is just a little bit ambiguous because these two candles are pretty much the same size. It tempts me with a higher low here, but I'm now extra just unsure again because the EMA is cutting through the middle of these now. So it's not acting as a really valuable key entry point. So it just kind of flags me to be extra careful. You have the localized low, first entry short pullback, second entry short failure, but it also looks like it's not necessarily in a clean range, but it's in an area of congestion. So just leaving that alone. It pushes up. As you can see, I drew the low side because after it pushes up, there's no clean second entries all the way up. I thought there's a potential support area here, and I ran into the same issue I had before is the high side here, because I have a failed breakout and that's acceptable. But then I have a breakout here and it dwells for quite a while. So it looked like the channel could be widened up here. Didn't mean to do that. It could be widened up here, but now I really only have one touch confirmation. And in between here, depending on how you drew things, you could actually have like different channels inside that also fit pretty well. And when I get into when I when the price action starts turning into things that look like there's a bunch of tiny little channels all in the same direction, like you clearly know there's a bullish push up, where it's kind of bookended by a channel is ambiguous, and you could draw these smaller channels here. It just makes me I know I have to be extra careful because I could read it wrong, especially knowing that this push up is so far from the EMA. Going long feels like you're buying near the highs, although I'm not really sure where the highs are, because certainly if you bought here for whatever reason, you would get a profitable trade. But I don't have any clear justification. I don't have a clean setup. So taking anything here felt like it would have been low probability. So localized high, it's also the high of day where this blue dotted line is. It also matches the pre-market high. So that was pretty cool. It reversed, first entry long, pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here. I tried to convince myself by tweaking this channel like this to say there's a touch bounce here, but now I don't have the cleanest touches here. So I left it alone. I said, I'm going to treat it as where I originally had it, which is the touch confirmations down here. This doesn't touch, and if it doesn't touch, it doesn't touch. Just have to leave it, wait for the right setup. Left this alone, and who knew that it was going to create this big candle here? But that was okay. There's no FOMO because this was a bad signal bar anyways. Now it pushes up, even though it gives you a potential higher low here, I wasn't very I wasn't very attracted to the prospect that it's created a double top here because this is what I'm seeing in real time. And it's pressing near the high of where I have this channel, whether I had it here or slightly above, it is pressing to the high. So asking to go long off this higher low doesn't make any sense. And even though it's a higher low, it's actually made a new high. So this higher low really isn't as strong anymore because there's no pullback. It's just break a new high. So it's clearly a new higher low, or you could actually see it as a visual first entry short. So it creates a double top, almost triple top, first entry long pullback. Technically have a second entry long here, but it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Not the biggest fan of that. Which just creates a new low. You have a visual first entry short. Technically you have a second entry short. It does break below this, but it's a bad signal bar. In real time, I'm thinking, is the price action really range bound right now? It looks like a big U. Is this really a strong resistance that prices are really going to move down to here? I'm not totally convinced. And I do see it's one leg down, a correction, and maybe it's going to make a second leg down, but it's too early to treat this as a clean second entry short of any kind. Even if a lower high shows up, I need a very pretty much in your face setup that says, yeah, I'm clearly going to move back down. And it kind of solves the problem for you because it makes a new low before giving you a lower high, or giving me a lower high. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit. Creates a localized low, first entry short, pullback. Technically, you have a second entry short. This is just kind of a little bit of a mess. The candles are too congested. They're just too side by side. They're not really breaking out in a clear direction that I can tell. I mean, you look back and you know, okay, it's bullish. Looks like it was two legs down. Looks like it's also two legs up. Which way it's going to go, it's hard for me to really peg. EMA isn't very reliable in this area. It was kind of reliable here. Unfortunately, price action never came back down to take advantage of it. So now prices are just kind of disregarding that the EMA is even here because it's above, below, above, below. So it starts moving down this, what I think is this orange down channel. Wasn't sure what it was at the time. And then when it formed here, and I actually kind of make the channel have some confirmations. Okay, I thought, okay, there's some kind of channel with prices obeying it somewhat, but how many candles it takes to form this channel, it makes the channel really shallow. So it just makes me a little more cautious because if you just kind of zoomed in and looked at it, it looks like it's almost side by side with a slight bearish tilt. So it pushes down, creates a localized low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short. It's a terrible signal bar. I'm not a big fan of that. It reverses back up. I established this potential green up channel here. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of this channel because is it actually supposed to be tighter here? Maybe two touch confirmations. This is really a clean touch, and there's already a breakout early. So I did eventually place it right here, but it didn't really provide any valuable key entry point for me. Break of this potentially green up channel, test the high, and it starts reversing back down. So this purple range doesn't exist yet. It pushes down. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here. There's break of this orange down channel. Technically, it's tested the low. It might be reversing. This purple down channel doesn't exist yet, so I can't use it as a key entry point. So without the purple range here, it just looks like it's floating in the middle of nowhere. So it's pushing up. I'm looking for a higher low. I don't get it. And it kind of pushes back down. It's a localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. At this point, I had a few lines going. This was one of them. And I had something else roughly here. So it's coming back down. It does look like it's two legs down. So it looks like it's one leg down, pullback, second leg. So it's like maybe two legs down. Also looks like maybe on the 10,000 tick chart, it looks like this is one big gradual leg down, even though there's smaller legs in here. Pushes, and now it looks like it's sideways. It's a break of this orange down channel, test the low. It looks like it's moving one leg up, two legs down here on this potential bigger leg. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. I saw this as a possible trade because it is a higher low confirming this local first entry long, second entry long, pushes, engulfs this completely, closes near the high, broke through this area that I thought might have been resistance. Can't seem to grab this. There you go. It broke through because it was a triple test. It broke through successfully, and then it kind of closed here. I thought this is a possible trade because I was thinking push up, pull down, push up, 2 legs down. Is it going to push back up? Is it starting to form a range here? And so I thought this was a possible trade. It pushes up, hits the high side, 1 leg down, pull back, 2nd leg down, pull back, kind of like a 3rd leg down. So it's actually a new high, 1st entry long pullback, 2nd entry long, terrible signal bar. At this point, I do have this established. This is one of the trading range resistance that I had. Is roughly in this region. I think I might have tweaked it down a little bit, but it's pretty much here. And I had another support area here, which I later turned into this purple resistance. And then this potential support area doesn't play out until maybe here, but it doesn't respect it all that much. So there was a line here, a support line here that I ended up removing. So here I'm thinking in real time, I'm in this range. It looks like it's obeying. It is creating higher lows each time though. So I'm aware of that, but it seems to be stopped by potentially a resistance zone or area here. So it's a localized low here. It's a 1st entry short and then bounces off this area, which could be a support, pushes up, almost hits the high, versus back down. Technically, you have a 1st entry long, pull back. You might have a 2nd entry, but it also looks like it's just one clean leg down. So I'm just waiting now. It comes back up, and this is kind of key because once this kind of had a triple test, 3-touch confirmation, and the low side, though there's a fail breakout here, looks like there's this region here is a clean support, and then this region up here looks like a clean resistance. So I established this as the trading range that prices seem to be obeying. It looks like it was 2 legs up. It's coming back down. Technically a 1st entry long, but it looks like it's just 1 leg. You can argue for 1st entry long here, although it never breaks above, but looks more clean like a 1 leg up. And then a 2nd leg. 2nd leg up pushes up and then reverses. So I'm thinking it's 1 leg or 2 small ones forming this 1 big leg, pushes up. And now I'm expecting another push down to the low. And it kind of does it, and it breaks out. So it breaks out pretty strongly. There's no way for me to, try to take a trade here. The potential fail breakout here, and as I said, there was some kind of thought that I had, was there kind of another support area here? It's a 1st entry short, pullback, 2nd entry short, pushes up, break of this green up channel has tested the high. There's technically a 2nd entry short here, but with the break of this purple range, and even if you had the range down here, it looks like prices are moving back up. So I'd be very reluctant, and I was reluctant to try to take a short right here. And it looks like it was a good idea because it looked like if you took a 1st entry short, 2nd entry short, would have gotten filled here, then it reversed and likely would have stopped me out because I would have kept my stop right about right here. So it looks like it is 2 legs up, comes back, hits the support, and now it's just kind of playing on the support area. Looks like a visual 1st entry short, pullback, 2nd entry short. Then it kind of breaks it back down to the bottom. So I'm just kind of watching and waiting again now. And this actually sets up for the one trade that I took. Now I'm going to admit it was a little aggressive, but I saw this off the 10,000 tick chart. So on the 10,000 tick chart, it looks like there's 1 leg down, pullback, 2nd leg down. So although there's 2 legs here on the 10,000 tick chart, it kind of clears up a little bit. So it looks like it was 1 leg down. It looks like it was, although there's 2 legs here, it looks like it's 1 leg up, pullback, 2nd leg. And then I was expecting another big push down here. So that's kind of where I created this measured move. Go ahead and zoom this out a little bit. So I was thinking 1 leg down, pullback, 2nd leg down. Now on the 2nd leg, you could say there's 1 push down, pull back, and then this second one, it is longer than this one. So I actually treated the move based off of this one. So I'm thinking this is 1 leg down. Looks like 2 clean legs up. 1st entry short, pullback, 2nd entry short. Although this is where I thought it was touching. Break, test the low. Yes, the downside push of this purple red channel has played out technically because it's broke, tested low. Looks like it's 2 legs. There are 2 legs up. It's hitting this resistance area, which could be argued as a triple test, 1 attempt, 2 attempt, 3 attempt. EMA, although it wasn't super reliable here, is starting to clearly be bearish. It had a rejection here and push down. So I counted this as a lower high, 2 legs up, lower high, confirming that at least it wants to push down to ideally, push through here and maybe make this measured move. So entered a stop limit order here, dragged it up, waited for this to close, opens, it was jostling for just a bit. I moved my stop limit order to 1 tick below this guy, and I actually got filled rather quickly. So I like that it went here, gave me a 6 ticks, reversed up, closed. So at the time I thought, okay, I might have dodged a bullet. This is potentially going to reverse back up, but the next couple of candles it does reverse down. Now it does look like 2 legs up. I was basing the trade off the strength of this triple test, EMA, what I was seeing on the 10,000 tick chart, which looked like it was one big leg down, pullback, potentially making a second leg. So, and there was enough room to clear before I believed it was going to potentially have a bounce point. So there's no runner because I didn't feel like the runner really had any room to run, so to speak. So just take the whole position off here. Pushes down to the low side. I don't have this blue range established yet. It comes later. So this is just looking like a noisy mess right now. Just imagine the swing legs established, but no clean blue channel yet. Hits the low side, pushes up, pull back, pushes up again. So it's technically first entry short, second entry short. It's a nice second entry short. It's engulfing, but it is inside to this guy. And I'd be shorting into this clear potential support area because prices already tried to break through and it didn't. It's creating lower highs each time. Pushes up, creates a high side, first entry long pullback, second entry long, not the cleanest. I don't want to take a trade off of this signal bar, and it's no clear bias for me right now. It just looks like it's moving up, moving down, moving up, moving down. Pushes up on this green up channel, break, test the high, and it just looks like it's sideways consolidation, but it does look like it's 2 legs down here. This blue range still doesn't exist, but it's starting to look like it's ranging. I've abandoned the idea that prices are going to move back into this previous purple range because this previous purple range was valid earlier, but now prices, imagine the blue one's not here, it's kind of ignoring that this purple range is even here. So I'm going to drag it back. That's like it cuts off here. It gets noisy. It looks like it's one leg down, pull back, second leg, and it starts reversing back up. When it creates this triple test, that's when I established this as a potential resistance line. Now, as you can see, I had this potential support temporary line drawn here. Later, I dragged it and established this one. Actually, I think it was reversed. This probably should be down here, and this should be up here. Nevertheless, there was some kind of support zone, if you will, right here. So it hits this triple test, but I'm not going to take a trade off a triple test off of this kind of ambiguous area. Plus, it did make a localized high here. It starts moving down what I think is maybe this orange down channel that's forming. I saw this and I marked it, but it was just kind of a passing thought. There's a localized high. You have a clear first entry long, looks like one leg, pull back, second leg. So it's first entry long, second entry long, and then it looks like a second entry long fails here right at the EMA, but the EMA isn't super reliable because as you can see, prices are both above and below. And it gives me this lower high. At the time when I saw this, I was tempted, but I can't trust my hunch right now because it's not uh, fully tuned to trust the hunch that I had. But I saw this and I go, oh, definitely there's a short here. But what stopped me was there's no clean setup. I was only thinking there is a resistance here that's coming down, but where is the next possible bounce point if I took a short? It'd probably be right here. Whether it's strong or not, it's just prices reacted right here. And then the next step would be prices would react down here. So knowing that, I decided like this isn't a trade worthwhile taking. Prices move down, breaks the low side, bounces. That's where I established this blue line. So I was thinking maybe this is the high of the range and this could be the low of the range. I'm going to go ahead and drag this upwards. So I was thinking, is this a range? This range is clearly uglier. This range isn't as clean as this one because it's kind of making it to the highs and kind of making it to the lows, while here it's clearly bouncing and pogoing off the top and bottom boundaries. This one's a little not as reliable yet, so I need to see more price action. Creates a localized low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short failure. I thought this was 2 legs, and so in real time I'm thinking this is clearly made the measured move, 2 legs up. So I'm reluctant to trade this failed second entry short. I want to see a higher low. And you do get a higher low here, but it's a red signal bar. And at that time, even though it's 2 legs, I thought it could be part of one bigger green leg. And the same thing that happened earlier was, is this overshoot clean here, or should I include it? So at the time, I was being extra conservative. I said, I'm going to treat it as an overshoot here, which makes me just extra cautious, taking along in the same direction as where the overshoot was. So I'm just waiting, ideally looking for a second entry long. But then you get this big candle, which is side by side to this. The only hope is that this could be a second entry long, but even then I'd be reluctant. And it solves the problem for me. It just kind of doesn't give you the second entry long till about here, but this is a bad signal bar. And then it just gets noisy. Starts moving down what I think is this transparent down channel, but I never colored it in because it looks like it's just two side by side. EMA is not helping at all. It's in the middle of what I think may be a range, but even this range, I'm not the biggest fan of right now because it only has one touch. You could argue 2 and 3 touches, but it looks like it's really only 1, 2 confirmations holding up the ceiling. Low side is ambiguous because as I said, is this 2 overshoots here or is it actually kind of lower here? So this is definitely a zone of support. So I'm not really sure what I see, but I do see a potential failed second entry short, but it's not even a good trade. It's an almost trade because clearly we're bouncing off some kind of support area. So it is, per the count, first entry short. It never breaks below this guy. Second entry short. Second entry short failure. The problem with this setup that I decided wasn't for me was if this is in a zone, unless you took it on the engulfing, before this candle closes, I had no idea it was going to break through. And once it broke through, I'm definitely not going to put my order here because this could be in a rangy consolidation area. Or if this down channel is actually in play, then this breakout, you could think it's going to come back down. So what's to say this failed second entry short really is nothing. It could just be kind of chopping sideways some more. So it pushes up. I'm expecting one leg up, pullback, second leg up, and it chops around. It gives me this potential almost trade here. It's a localized high, and it's hitting this resistance area. So it's a first entry long pullback, despite the fact this is a really nice signal bar. Green up channel, looks like it was already 2 legs up, but it failed to make the measured move. What I'm seeing in real time, what I'm thinking in real time is, I think prices want to make this measured move. But the problem is, it did get a rejection right here off this range high. It creates a first entry long, second entry long. It's a good signal bar. There is enough room for a scalp for sure. But this push up, it's making one attempt. It could make a second attempt. I'm a little sketched out. Plus the EMA now looks like it's acting as support. So yes, you have some ideas going for it, but I'm thinking this measured move, or per the market, there's no rule that says it absolutely has to hit the highs here. So this second attempt up may not actually happen. It could form, trap, and then come back down. So I wasn't really sure. I didn't mean to do that. Wasn't really sure what was going to happen, so I left it alone. When I saw this candle open and close, I was pretty glad I didn't do anything because I don't want to be kind of sitting in this. The trade would have worked if I got in early, but it felt like it would have been slightly a reach because I'd be buying into this resistance area. And then certainly if I was still in this trade, if I was going for more, like I was trying to get out above here, this would be very concerning. It pushes up, has a failed breakout, and starts reversing back in. Break, test the low, pushes, kind of hits the sideways consolidation. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward because not much happens after that. Hits the sideways consolidation. It's getting toward the end of the day. I'm not really going to be looking for any more trades or even trying to take any more trades because the price action kind of proves itself as it pushes into the close that there wasn't much happening here, not anything really worth risking. Plus, it was kind of at the high side of this range, and then I thought it might have been in a sub range here. So clearly, it was just kind of messy back here that I didn't think. Well, pretty happy that I didn't try to, attempt anything, and I really wouldn't have anyways because toward the last 30 minutes. So kind of saw the charts today. Looked like it was a push up, kind of a stair step down. Pre-market highs and lows that I established didn't really amount to much because there's nothing happening down here, and there wasn't really much happening. It kind of rallied back up, then it just kind of stayed in this, for the most part, 40-point zone area. So it just took the one trade. There's no trading tomorrow. I think it's Good Friday, so I definitely won't be trading tomorrow. I think the futures market is open for temporary, but nothing's I think is worth taking a trade for. So hopefully that was helpful.